Okay, I don't know if this is actually working. I guess we will see when I get started. So I am doing live robot prep in order to get ready for 2 robotics events. And I need to do some coding. So the first thing I'm going to do is get all the robots out. And then I have to check each robot one at a time. Oh, what happened here? So this robot's got to be checked for sure because his wheel is no longer attached. And they're all flower bots. Let me try to check on my phone because I don't know if this is working. I'm never quite confident about whether this is working or not. But I have 20 robots to get ready for tomorrow. And so since people always want me to go live when I'm doing robot stuff, I thought this would be a good day to do that. But I am a little concerned that it's not working. So let me go and look here. Let's see, I don't see anything happening out here. So let's see here. Well, maybe it is working. I do see something there. Okay, let me try TikTok and see what TikTok looks like. Maybe it is working. I don't get a lot of visual confirmation that this is on. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know if this is working or not. Guess we'll see. All right, well, something seems to be working. Click on the chat message to display it on screen. Okay. I guess, I don't know. All right, so right now I am unpacking all the robots so that I can check them one at a time. And like I said, there are 20, and there are 5 different types of robots. There are obstacle avoidance sonar robots with a microbit. There is light sensing robots with a Circuit Playground Express. There are Arduino Uno robots that work with an IR remote. There are Arduino Uno robots that work with a button. And then I'm about to make Arduino Uno robots that track with light with a flashlight. All the robots have already been programmed except for those. So I'll probably start with those first because I got to write the code for those and get them built. And then after that, I need to check all the other ones. So there will be a total of 20 robots, and this is for an event tomorrow at the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry here in Chicago. And I will be reading a few of my children's books, and then after that, the kids are going to actually engage and play with the robots to learn a little bit about sense planning and acting, how a robot senses the world, how code gives it some kind of plan, and then the robot executes that action with either shining lights, playing a buzzer, moving, etc. So that's what I'm doing. I'm unpacking my wagon with all of the robot materials. This is the remote for the infrared robot. Uh-oh, this is some trash that I forgot to throw away that got the robot box wet, so that's not good. These are all the supplies for working on the robot. And let me just say, traveling with all this stuff was more than a notion. boxes hid. I'm going to have to let it air dry. Okay, the first thing I need to do is a full count and confirm I have all the robots that I thought I would have. Cannot believe how bad that box looks. That's horrible. Yeah, it was rainy and snowy and cold and wet yesterday. So packing was done in a rush, and I'm now seeing the results of that. Okay. So all the robots are unpacked. And let's do a count. Oh no, all the robots are not unpacked because I don't have my Ivy bots. So I have a Flower Bots platform. So my robots are Daisy Bot, Iris Bot, Ivy Bot, Rosie Bot, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And of course, I miscounted somewhere because it should be 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 14 robots. Let's see how many I have here. Okay. This is robot number 15. I am thinking about also reprogramming the Ivy bots only because some of them don't move so well and the gate's a little off. So there's actually a good chance I'm going to redo these as well. So that means I may end up doing some Arduino programming today and some microbit programming. Hopefully I have a screwdriver to remove that, but this is Ivy bot. So this is 16. This is robot 17. This is robot 18. Robot 19. Robot 20. And robot 21. So the good news is I do have 20 robots. I just miscounted by one. And so a big part of what I'm doing tomorrow is also my books. I figure I will also show you the books I'm going to read. So one of them is going to be There's a Robot at My After School. These are my new hardback books. I just started hardbacks this year. If you're interested in any of these, they are all available. on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, and on my website, noirsteminist.com. And so then the other book we're going to read is going to be my first book. This is a paperback version. There's a Robot in My Closet, my first two books. I will be reading these tomorrow at the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry. And then after we read them, we're going to demo the robots for the kiddos. And then I will also show you my latest books. And these just came out. These are the demo versions, so that's why the line. How Can I Fix Astro? About a student using the engineering problem-solving method to figure out how to fix a robot. There's a video game. There's a robot in my video game. This young lady is going to use the robot in her video game. It's going to help her learn to program. And there's a robot at my playground. That one is going to, she's using the robot at her playground to help her understand how to fix things so that she can also get inspired to become an engineer. Okay. So those are the books that we will have with us tomorrow. But now back to fixing these robots. This is going to be an all-day task. So I don't know how long I'm going to stay on live because, like I said, I can never even visually determine whether it's working or not. So my gut is saying to somehow check. I just have no idea. How can I check whether this is working or not? Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm strongly considering just getting off of here and maybe just doing it through TikTok. I don't know how long I've been on here so far. But yeah, it's just really hard when you can't tell if anybody can see you or not. So I think I will. I think I'm going to do that. I've given a good summary of what I'm doing. I'm working on robots, but if you want to join my live, I guess I'm going to do it through TikTok and try to hopefully figure out how to do that and see if it's actually working. But I don't know how I'm going to do the live coding in TikTok. You know what? Maybe I will just stay on here for a little bit. Okay. Let me try to get the first light sensing robot working. And it's going to be this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top off. And so all of my robots have a top. And I do that so that the kiddos don't pull on the wires and take it all apart. And one thing I found is that they are constantly pushing on things. So now if there's buttons, I put the buttons here. And pushing the buttons makes something happen. But if there aren't any buttons, I actually now cover the holes because I noticed that buttons are forward pushing and they get frustrated. So if it's covered, that means there's no button, because sometimes I do have buttons attached that I didn't program and, they get frustrated. So I am going to attach 2 LEDs and a photo resistor to the top here. And then what they're going to do is shine a flashlight, and the flashlight's either going to make the robot move towards them proportional to the light or away from them. So some of the robots are going to look like they're in love with the light. Some are going to look like they're afraid of the light. So I need to wire 2 LEDs and a photo resistor on here. Okay, so I have packed so much stuff because my prayer is that everything I need is in one of these bags. All right, so 2 LEDs, photo resistor. me see if I can tilt this down so you can actually see what I'm doing here. So these are the two LEDs, light emitting diodes. And this is the photoresistor. And if you're doing my Engineering 101 class, hopefully once I start coding, you will see that a lot of what I've been teaching you is exactly what I'm doing today. The only thing that is new is we haven't talked about how to make a robot move, but you're going to see the first thing I'm going to do is just wire these LEDs and get them to turn on. And then I am going to wire this photoresistor, get it to react to the light. And then that's your sensing. Then the plan, like I said, is to connect it to the robot's motors so that the robot's motors move proportional to that. All right, so everything that I need connected is on the top of the robot's cap now. It's going to be going up and down. No, that's not right. This should be in two different holes. So the benefit of having these tiny holes on the top is I can connect a lot of different things just by dropping the legs in this hole. And then I just bend the legs back and then it won't fall out. So that's what I'm doing now is I'm bending the legs back like that. And what you see is now the LEDs and the photoresistor are stuck in there. And so now I'm getting some alligator clip wires out so that I can drop the connections down to the breadboard. Okay. And now I need some resistors. So you need a 10 kilo ohm resistor for the potentiometer, and you need for the photoresistor, 10 kilo ohm resistor. And then we need anything in the 100 range for the like 330 or so for the LEDs. So these are 220. So I'm going to get out two 220 ohm resistors for the LEDs. And then I need to find the 10 kilo ohm resistor for the potentiometer, for the photoresistor. I keep saying potentiometer, sorry. Okay. Brown, black, orange, 10 kilo ohms, brown, black, orange. Red, red, black, black for the 220s. Some are 4 bands, some are 3 bands. That's why you hear me saying 2 different numbers. And here is the breadboard on the robot. And this is where I'm about to attach them. So what I have to think about is Where do my connections go? The photoresistor is going to be between 5 volts, the resistor, and ground. So I can either put the resistor to 5 volts and the other side to ground, or vice versa. So it doesn't really matter, but I guess I'm going to put the resistor to ground. Okay. So that's what I'm doing now, is making a connection to ground. Something on 7. I have no idea what that is. Okay, and then here are my 2 resistors for the LED. These are also going to ground. Mm. All right. I'm going to put my LEDs on pins 2 and 3. And then take the other side of the connection to ground. Okay, so I have all my resistors on the breadboard now. It's probably kind of hard to see that. The light's not that great in here either. And so now I am going to add the wires to the parts that are on the cover. So I'm going to need 6 wires for 6 pins. The alligator clip to the pins is not the most ideal for this, but hey, it works. I am thinking about a PCB someday, but I also don't want everything hidden, because the whole point of this is that we want people to figure out how to get it working. And there are lots of plug and play robots out there. I don't want this to necessarily to be a plug and play robot. I want the electronics to be visible, because I want you to learn from them. Okay, so as I was saying, I will make all of the bottoms go to ground. And then I will make the other side go to 5 volts, which 5 volts is this wire. Another thing, I think one of my students wired this, is never use all the same color for all your wires, because that means it doesn't afford anything for me and I have to actually look at them. So all the wires on here are yellow. Okay, them all being yellow, nothing's red, green, black. Normally I make 5 volts either orange or red, so I can quickly identify it, and maybe yellow, white, blue signal, and then green, gray, brown would be ground. But since they made them all the same color, I have to trace every time to try to figure out, was that a ground wire? What is that, etc. So that's kind of frustrating. But I do see that they have an analog input connected here, so that's going to be helpful. It's also yellow. So I just have to keep tracing all my yellows to figure out what is going on here. So this yellow is going to be for the potentiometer, the photoresistor. I'm going to be saying potentiometer all day, obviously. And this one's going to be, it's going to 5 volts. And then the other side has to go to ground. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and do the photoresistor first to make sure it's working. And then from there, I am going to go ahead and write some code. So A0 is right here. So that's going to go to here. And if you want to understand how I am wiring this, go and look at my Engineering 101 videos because I do walk through this in great detail there. At this point, it all just sits in my head. So I don't have to necessarily do that anymore. It's just in my mind. I walk through what's happening. So what's happening is I have a resistor going from 5 volts to A0. And then the potentiometer is going to 8.0, and the other side of that needs to go to ground. So that's what I'm doing, and then we're going to write some code. Yeah, I am really hating all these yellow wires. This is making life very, very difficult. Okay. I think I'm ready to do some programming. So I am going to connect the robot to my USB and see if this photoresistor is actually connected correctly. All right, so this is going to power the robot. Okay, and that's not good. I don't normally want robots moving when I first start them up. So I am going to make new code because that's not good. I definitely don't want robots taking off when I start them. Okay, and I need to switch which screen I'm sharing. Okay, so I gotta figure out how to make this show the full screen. Okay, that's better. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I gotta put this on something. First thing I gotta do is I gotta get this to stop moving. So I'm going to do int pot equals actually int photo equals A0. Okay, and then I am going to have pin mode pot is going to be an input. And I could have done an input pull up since there is a 10K pull up on the Arduino. In fact, I may end up going back to do that. Serial.begin 9600 for my serial communication. And then I'm going to immediately download something to get this robot to stop moving because that's annoying. So it is now downloading. Okay, it doesn't like something that I did. Oh, photo. That's what's wrong. Okay. And now we have silence. Thank God. Okay. So I have now connected the photoresistor. I have now started up the serial communication. So just because I was doing a lot, before I even waste time doing any more wiring, I am going to do serial dot println analog read photo. So now I need to check to see is the resistance of that photoresistor going to change proportional to light. If it is, I can get everything else wired up, but I want to make sure this is working first. Good news is we know the motors work on the robot because they were going crazy. All right, so now we're uploading. And I am going to turn the serial monitor on. And I'm getting 123 all the time. And if I cover the photoresistor with my finger, it goes to 400. So that means dark is 445, and I'll put a comment in here because I may not remember this later. Dark is 445. And light is 100. Okay. So now what I'm going to do next is make a global variable called speed. And I am going to map that to robot speed. And so based upon the value of that light, the robot would either speed up or slow down. So I can write all this code. And then I will copy in all of the motor code, right? And so, but even before I do that, I'll probably do the LEDs next. So then what I'm going to have is int light equals analog read photo. Okay. So now instead of here, I can do serial print ln light. What's going to end up happening is I'm going to print the light and the speed because I want to check they're working together. So then I'm going to have serial.print here, quote, space, quote, light. And then down here, I'm going to have speed equals map. And what I'm mapping is I'm going to map the light, which goes from 0 to 1023. Even though we didn't see all those values, I know the light can do that. And the motors go from 0 to 255. So I want to map that. And then I'm going to do speed equals constrain. If you've been watching my most recent Engineering 101 videos, all of this should look really familiar to you, to 255. And then I am going to serial.print light and speed so that I can see whether it's working the way that I want before I go and do the other stuff. So now I'm going to have speed equals and speed here. And I do a check mark to make sure I don't have any errors. And then I do an arrow to upload to the robot. And then I'm going to open up my serial monitor. Something is wrong though, because let me close the serial monitor. It doesn't seem to have integrated my new changes, and I need to figure out why. So I hit the right arrow to upload the code, and it says it's uploading. And now I'm going to open up the serial monitor again. And I need to figure, oh, it's working. It's just not, oh, I didn't do LN. It's going out to the side. If you don't do a line feed, it runs across to the side and you just can't see it. So that's what's going on with that. So I am going to do this. And we're going to try it again. And it says light equals 108. Okay, I don't like that. The words are running into each other either. I do /T, that'll get rid of that. So let's try one more time. All right, that's better. So now what you see is that the light, I wonder if there's a way I can move this out the way. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, I don't like that. That's worse. Let's see here. Mirror camera, hide. Okay, well, anyway, you can kind of see. So what's happening here is that Now, the robot's speed is going to be proportional to the light. So what you see here is this robot speed is 27 when the light is 109. So that means right now the robot is working opposite, which means it's slowing down with more light. And then it's speeding up with less light. I don't necessarily like that it's only going, so the robot's max is 255, but I don't know what the lighting's going to look like at the museum either. So that's another thing that we're going to have to account for. And the way that I do that is something we call ambient. So ambient light, meaning what I'll do is when it's up, I will set ambient to equal the light in the room. And from there, now I make everything proportional to that, right? So instead of just using light, I would use light minus ambient or light plus ambient. So down here, I would say that the light is equal to analog read photo minus ambient, for example. I may have to add, I don't know, because I don't remember which way it's going, but now I'm doing a delta. So as opposed to just saying the light in my hotel room is what we use to vary the speed of the robot. As soon as the robot comes up, it will read the ambient light in the space. And then based upon differences between that and because we'll have flashlights or something, now you can react. So let's see how it changes my robot speed by doing light minus ambient. So I'm going to run it again. And now, because I haven't done anything, the light is really bright and the speed is 0. And now if I cover it, it only goes up to 98, which is great. But that is not the way that I would like it to work. So I think maybe I'm going to try light plus ambient. I am not a coder. I'm a roboticist and electrical engineer. So what that means is a lot of times my coding is trial and error. I do make my students make a software design plan. Their code is obviously a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult. But for the stuff I do, it's a little bit of trial and error with a little bit of me thinking about what makes sense. I like that a little bit better because the robot is moving slowly at the very beginning. And then when you shine a light on it, it's going to actually, when it gets darker, it's going to go a lot faster. So let's reverse the way the robot works. And I can just do that by going 0 to 1023 represents 255 to 0. And so now the speed and the photoresistor are inversely proportional. And so that means now my lots of light is 218. And then when it gets dark, it goes down to 67. Okay. So now in theory, the robot would move slower, the less light it sees. And then as it sees more light, it speeds up. All right, I think I like the way this works. So now let's get our LEDs working and get the motor working, and this robot will be done. So now I'm going to come up here and say int left LED equals 2, that's pin 2, int right LED equals pin 3. Then I'm going to make these outputs. I'm going to have pin mode, left LED is an output, and int pin mode, right LED is an output as well. I think after I get this one working, I'm going to log off this live because I'm just so not sure this is actually working. I love how it's all looking, but I just don't know if it's working. So I don't know what that alert was about. Okay, so all right, I got my LED set as an output, and normally what I do at the very beginning to make sure everything's working with the robot is I will just for a second flash them. So I'm going to do digital right LED high. Oops. Digital right left LED high. Then I'm going to wait like 100 milliseconds, maybe 250 milliseconds. And then I'm going to turn them both off. Okay. And so this is my quick check that they're wired correctly. We know they're not wired at all right now because I haven't done that yet because I wanted to make sure the photoresistor is working, and it is. Another thing I do is, like I said, I code in stages and I build in stages. I hate to build this whole circuit, code this whole circuit just to find out the thing don't work. So that's what I'm doing. So now I'm going to wire the LEDs up. I am going to send one side to the resistor and the other side to ground. I picked these white LEDs because I never use white LEDs because I'll never use them for anything. But the challenge is going to be they're very difficult to see when they light up. So I'm really, really hoping we're going to be able to tell when they actually light up. Okay, where's my ground? Okay, here's a ground. And once again, these yellow wires are my nemesis. Okay, so there's a ground. Go in there. Okay. Okay, there's one going to ground, and here is one that is much too short. Also going to ground. I do have tape, so once I get it wired the way I want, I tape it down so that it's not so jacked up during the journey to the museum tomorrow. Okay. Come on, dude. Okay. All right. I have it wired up now. So I'm now going to upload the code again. The great thing is I have motor driver code everywhere. So that is going to be the simplest part. Of course, I was talking and not paying attention, so I don't know if the lights flashed or not. So at this point, you don't upload the code again. You just press the red reset button, and I will check. Yay, they did. And I don't know if you saw that. It's kind of hard to see because, yeah, with this light here. So I don't know if you can see that. Let me try this. Okay, hopefully you saw them flash. So the LEDs are working. The photoresistor is working. Our last task is to get the motors working. And like I said, I have motor driver code everywhere. So at this point, I just go and copy the some motor driver code in from another file, which I'm about to do now. I just need to find one that I like. Let's try this one. This one may be okay. Okay. And of course, I pick one that is throwing errors because why would it not? So I am going to find a different file because I don't know why that one is throwing errors. Here's one that I know works because I used it yesterday. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is void configure pins is a new function we have here. that I will put here. And it puts all of our configure pins in one spot. So I will put these down here. And then up here, I just call configure pins. Okay, and then at the very top, I need to add the variables for my motors. So if I scroll up to the top, and I'm going to copy in all of my motor code and paste that here. And then I'm going to immediately do a check mark because I'm copying in a lot of code and I want to make sure I haven't introduced a mistake. And I did somewhere, so I need to go check it and see what happened. Oh, green, blue, and red LED. Those don't exist anymore. Buzzer doesn't exist anymore. Front receiver doesn't exist anymore. All that's gone. All right. Okay, that looks good. All right, we have added all of our motor code. We have added all the pins for it. I'm probably only going to have the motors move forward and back for now. I could make them turn. Potato, potato. Probably not. So I'm just going to add code to make the robot move forward and backward. And stop. So forward, reverse, and stop. So copy over that code for robot forward, reverse, and stop. And we named it speed, not robot speed. So I'm going to change all these to say speed. Okay. And sometimes I do love me a good function, but you can overfunction stuff. So there is a lot of functions in here, and I probably would not. This is just robot overkill. I mean, this is code overkill. So instead of doing all that, I would just do this here, which is B in 1, high, low, B, A in 2, high, low, to make the robot go forward. And then you just reverse the highs and the lows to make it go backward. So I am going to put this in here. And then what you do to make the robot stop is you just make them all low. And of course, you don't have to analog write anything now because you don't want to speed anyway. So that is forward, and that's stop. And then for reverse, I do the same thing. I just reverse the low and the high. So coming down here, right here, I'm going to just paste this here. And it's going to be high, low, high, low. Okay, so now let me check the code and see how we're doing. Make sure we haven't introduced any errors, so verify. It all looks great. So the other thing I will also do when I check the lights is I do a small forward movement as well. So I will call forward, wait 250 milliseconds, and then I will call stop. So at the very beginning, I am checking the lights. I can also do even though I won't be able to see this once it's not connected, I can even do a quick ambient read as well. And print that out, ambient. Serial dot print ambient equals. Okay. Hopefully you're keeping up okay. Like I said, after I get this one working, I'm going to log off so that I can check if these live streams are actually working. Because I just don't know. And I'm going up on an hour. Yay. I never go live. I will take that hour and I will see you that hour. Okay. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Right arrow. Uh-oh, somebody got mad at me. That sometimes happens if the serial monitor is open. So I'm going to say cancel. And I'm going to close the serial monitor and I'm going to try it again. Port error. Okay, let me disconnect and reconnect the robot. Sometimes the serial monitor just gets up. Let's make sure it's still connected. It's still on COM 12. And I'm going to try to upload it again. Okay. All right, I have a concern. The lights flashed. And it looks like everything's working. But my motors did not move. And that is no bueno. Let me make this delay longer and make sure there's not something else going on before I go in here and figure out what's going on with the motors. Okay. Nope, the motors are not moving. All right, it is time for some troubleshooting. It's also weird to me that the lights are flashing twice. Why are the lights flashing twice? So I am going to press the reset button. I see the ambience printing. Let's figure out why these motors are not moving. We know the motors work because when I first started today, the motors were going. Okay. So let's see what we got going on here. I have VM going to VN, check. I have VCC going to 5 volts, check. I have the motors connected, check. I have PWMB. So I have to go look at the connection points. The PWMB, and these are all orange. Remember I talked to you about making all your wires the same color and how crazy that is? So PWMB is going to 11, 12, and 13. PWM. Sorry, glasses caught in here. Oh yeah, I gotta get this out of here. PWMB. All right, I think I gotta rewire the motors. I gotta get my hair off my glasses first. Okay, what is this going to? PWMB is going to 11. Oh, and I think I know why. That flashed. I don't need this wire. This doesn't belong here. So I have PWMB and PWMA are both going to 10. PWMB and PWMA are both going to 10. Okay, I found one mistake. So it's ground. PWMB is going to PWMA. Could go to 11. I don't think it hurts anything. I'm going to make this go to 11. And make this one go to 10. I think it's okay that you stay on 11. But 12 and 13 are bin 1 and bin 2. 12 and 13 are bin 1 and bin 2. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, that looks fine. And then this is going to 10, 8, and 9. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That looks great. So why are you not moving, buddy? It all looks good to me. Let's put you over here. Okay. Grounded. Yeah, that looks fine. All right, right now I'm not getting it. I don't know why this robot's not moving. So we're gonna try this again. Oh, I think I know why. You silly goose, you. You don't have a speed set, you silly goose. Let's set the speed to 255. Speed is set to 0, so your code is always doing what you tell it to do. So if the speed is set to 0, the robot's not going to move. And voila! Still have no idea why it's running twice, but whatever. All right, we got a working robot. We have liftoff. And just to make sure the lights are still working, they are. And the ambient is still working. What I can do is I can comment out all these other serial prints so that you can actually see the ambient running. Well, that's okay. I think you trust me on that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I can make the robot go forward and backward based upon speed even. So what I can do is call forward. The speed now has changed based upon the light value. And I can make one go forward and one go backward. And now it's in a loop. So what's going to happen? Hopefully you heard the robot slow down. And if I cover it, it goes even slower. And now it's moving proportional to the light. And if I get out one of my flashlights, I want you to see it speed up more. So I'm going to get out a flashlight. Actually, I'll just use my cell phone. And so then if I turn on the flashlight on my cell phone, hopefully you heard it speed up more. When I put my cell phone to it, and when I take my cell phone away, it goes totally slow. All right, this robot is actually done. So I'm going to unplug it. And I'm now going to try to get it to work with the battery pack. And the battery pack did make it move at the beginning. I think this battery, something just came undone. Let's see. All right. The problem is that this battery pack is probably not the best. So it doesn't have enough power when it gets to a low speed. And so it's not working. I got to change out the battery on this one, but I also want to do something with the lights. I think I want the lights to also brighten and dim proportional to to the speed. So what I'm going to do, and let's unplug this for a minute because that's going to annoy me. I need to get out my voltmeter and check the power on that battery. Okay, so what I'm going to do is instead of I can also, instead of digital writing to a light, I can analog write to a light, which means I may need to move the pins on the light because all of the pins cannot take an analog write. So right now I'm using pins 2 and 3. 3 is fine. 2 is not an analog pin. So instead of 2 and 3, I'm going to put the lights on 3 and 5, and then I'm going to analog write the speed to the light. So what you're going to see is the lights are also going to get brighter and dimmer proportional to the light. Okay. The good news is it's an easy fix. I just go up here to the top where I had 2 and 3. I change it to 3 and 5. Then I come down here where I set the speed inside of my loop, and I am going to analog write speed. So analog write left LED speed. Okay. Analog write right LED speed. Okay. Plug this back in. And I'm going to upload code. And notice when I make it totally dark, the lights turn off as well. And as I get brighter, the lights are getting brighter. Kind of hard to tell, but they are. Okay, this robot is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug this. I am going to probably change this battery out. I'm about to check it and tape down the top so it's a little bit more secure. And robot 1 of 20 is done. I know that sounds so sad, 1 of 20. But all great beginnings have to have a start somewhere. So let's check the battery. All right, I gotta find my voltmeter. And now I find the flashlight. One of the best purchases I ever made. And the main thing I use it for is checking for dead batteries, which can be very frustrating when I start troubleshooting, trying to figure out what's wrong. And the whole time the battery was dead. So I'm going to put this on volts. 9-volt battery. Once it gets too close to the 8, the robot does not function so great. This actually is at 8.87. So I am a little surprised that it's not working better. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my scaling on my proportionality because this is actually a good battery. And what that means is that on the map and constrain, I will change the range so that 255 is the top, but I'm going to make the bottom something a little bit higher so that I know the robot will definitely move. So inside of my code, when I go to 0 to 1023, maps from 255 to 0, I'm going to make it map to more like 255 to 100. So the robot never goes below 100. And then in the constrain, I will also make that map 100 to 255. So I'm going to check mark that. Then I am going to plug this in, upload the new code. And so this is hopefully going to help the fact that the battery just cannot provide as much power as when it's plugged in. So there we go, bright, bright light. I'm at almost 255. I got almost a 255. And if I totally cover it, it goes down to 100. A little interesting. It's interesting that the lights are not varying too much. I may have to make the light intensity speed minus 100 because I don't see a lot of variation in my lights. Or I could just do maybe speed minus ambient. I'm not totally sure about that. Actually, I don't care so much about the lights. I do want to make sure of what this looks like unplugged in though. Ooh. So I'm going to turn this back on. I don't know why this battery is flashing. This should be a good battery. I just plugged it in. Let's turn it off for a minute. Let me make sure the batteries in there good. Okay, make sure nothing came out of anywhere. No, all looks good. I don't know why all of a sudden the battery pack wants to act crazy. I'm having a brownout condition on my battery. I don't know why. This is the battery pack. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, all right. Let's try that again. I don't know what happened here and why all of a sudden you don't want to work. All right, let me try a different battery pack. I'll do a brand new battery, although that battery was at 8.7 volts. Let me make sure I'm not crazy. It say 8.7 volts, right? Which is pretty doggone good. Yeah, 8.8 volts. That should be a good battery. Let me see if I can find another 9-volt battery pack. Maybe something happened to the battery pack. All right. This one is doing nothing. I gotta find a trash can around here. Is this rechargeable? No, it's not. Well, this is at 1 volt. That would explain why you don't work. All right, we're going to have to re-upload our code. Something has happened with the code because this one is doing the same thing the last one was doing. All right, so something about that speed it didn't like because it was working before that. So I'm going to go back in here and maybe take this down a little, 80, upload. Interesting. I don't get it. So if I do this, seems to be working okay. Looks like the photoresistor got disconnected. I think I know what's wrong. Okay, that was weird. I don't know. Oh, it's that ambient. I know what it is. It's that ambient setting I turned on. And so what's happening is that ambient is so low that when I turn it on, the ambient is scaling that I'm not getting a good reading. I may have to take that ambient out. Very strange. Okay. All right. Let's just set ambient to 0 for a minute. I think that's what it is. The ambient lighting is messing it up. I'm going to just comment this out for a second and make ambient equal 0. I think that's what it is. I don't know. Just a guess. think I'm going to take the scale back down and keep the ambient off. That's what my gut is telling me. And just go to 50 and 50 and keep the ambient off. And just hope it works with the museum tomorrow, because I think the battery reading is so low, it's messing something up. Okay. Now I'm just making the lights dim a little more, is my hope. So that's why I'm subtracting off that 50 from the speed, so that when it's dark, the lights go dark. So they get a little dimmer. To be honest, I think I want to map the light to their own lighting. I think that's what I want to do. So the good news is, once I get this one working, I just copy the code to the other robots. It's just because this is the first one, it takes a little longer to get everything working right. Ooh, that was loud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a local variable, and it's going to be int dimmer, whatever, equals analog read photo. Actually, the ambient is 0, so I can just make it equal to the light. But what I'm going to do is this is now going to be dimmer equals map of the. Actually, I can just do this here. I don't even have to do that. I can just declare the variable here. Int dimmer equals map light 0. The light honestly never goes from 0 to 1023. I could make this a little tighter as well. This might also be interesting. 100 to 900. But yeah, there's lots of ways to play with these numbers to get them to do the things you want it to do. So I'm now going to say when the light's between 100 and 200, I want my dimmer to be between 0 and 255. And to be honest, I don't even care so much about this one going outside that range. Maybe I better. It might do something goofy if I don't. So then I'm going to say dimmer equals constrain dimmer 0 to 255. Okay. So I'm putting a tighter threshold around the light, 100 to 900. And I know I never even made it to 900, but it did drop it to 100. And now I'm going to analog right. And instead of speed, I'm just going to give the LEDs their own variable. Dimmer. All right. And I think I might need to reverse this too, so that they go bright and dark proportional instead of the opposite. So it's going to go 255 to 0. Okay. All right. Hopefully this is our last change. And if I'm now happy with it, we move on. Okay. So turn off the battery. Plug this in again. And we're going to upload this. okay with it. And I'm going to turn this on. Yep, and if I totally cover it, now the lights go off. Hopefully you see that. All right, I am happy with this. I want to tape it down a little, and we're ready to move on to the next robot. Let me see if I have some tape. Okay, lots of tape. Okay, and remember, after I finalize this one, I'm going to hop off and go and do a check and see if anybody even saw this live, because I don't even know if it's working once again. Whew, nothing like being in Chicago and New York and hearing sirens everywhere out the hotel window. But I'm not trying to sleep, so it's fine. Found a piece of candy, too. That's my good job, Candy, I guess, for getting this done. I don't know what that is. One thing I must do today, after I finish getting these robots together, is organize this bag. It is out of control. All right. I got the tape. I'm going to turn the live off now because you don't need to watch me tape. And then after I turn this off, I'm going to go check and see if anybody even saw this. Stay STEMtastic.